Two more days until Friday. And what does that mean? Well, there might just be a nice judgment in the GBTC versus SEC case that is potentially going to get settled then. Although it could be any Friday. You know what? Who even cares? Let's just get into the content of the day, as I want to welcome you back to the Air Crown Crypto channel. It's a nice little Thursday or Tuesday, or maybe even it's Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday, actually. According to my computer, it is indeed Wednesday. So you know what? First things first, let's follow up on yesterday's and realistically the last few days short-term analysis, which take fucking 5-6 days to play out now. And that is the hidden bearish divergence on the 12-hour time frame right here on CME. And this was actually present on spot as well. Still slowly, ever so slowly playing out as Bitcoin does move to the bottom side of the range, or closer to the bottom side of the range, I should say. Could it go a little bit more? Yes, absolutely. In fact, bottom side of the range still somewhere into the upper $28,000 territory. We can see that the white moving average, which is a 200 simple, is coming in currently at about 28,700, which is more or less effectively governing these wick lows thus far. If we go ahead and check out the HPDR range indicator over here, we can see that the bottom side of the blue 50% of historic returns range lows is 28,700. So I would still be looking at that as a nice basing area for Bitcoin. Also implying that I would still not be looking for any sort of major breakdown as long as Bitcoin's above it. And similarly, just as I wouldn't be looking for any major breakout as long as Bitcoin is below the top side of this range, which is currently exactly in alignment with last week's wick high at 30,200 and change. So ultimately, as long as Bitcoin plays between here, not really too much to update on, to be quite frank with you. Does that hidden bearish divergence play out a little bit more to the downside? Yeah, definitely possible. I don't really have super strong opinions about this, but if it does take another leg down, somewhere around somewhere between 28.7 to 28.9 would kind of be the area that I'm looking for. Moving on over here into stochastic momentum, we can see that the 5-day time frame, which still is another couple days, or actually 3 days left to go before this next period does close, will actually turn up, or have the possibility to turn up, if Bitcoin does close above 29,430. That's kind of a big one for me actually right here, because if that does start to turn back up, that would actually goose the probabilities back in favor of the upside of the overall consolidation, as volatility is at historic lows right here, even on this time frame. Both looking at BBWP and this indicator right here, which is actually the volatility of stochastic momentum. So generally speaking, that does imply that we're probably going to be looking at a pretty big resolution. If Bitcoin remains below this pivot, however, coming into, that would be Friday-ish. I think that would be Friday, actually. It's either Friday or Saturday. I can't do that mental math right now. But if Bitcoin does stay below it, then obviously downside resolution going to be more likely, and that's at the point where I still have to consider the possibility that Bitcoin could reach all the way down towards at least mid 27s. But personally speaking, I do think that Bitcoin would make a leg down somewhere just below 27, somewhere between 26.7 to 26.9 or so. Just to the upside, we're probably looking at another retest of this year's high, actually somewhere around low 31s, and probably upwards and onwards from there. Anyways, back into stochastic momentum, let's go down the different time frames. Two-day time frame is going to be actually still headed up as long as Bitcoin's above 28,850. Again, that is pretty much around the bottom side of the current range. And if we go down to the daily, it is actually freshly turning down as of the past couple days. It remains with downside pressure as long as Bitcoin's below the same pivot as the 5-day, 29,450. So again, this number is starting to pop up more. I don't necessarily like the way that this one looks here for the BULAs, because it is getting rejected right at the neutral zone, which is usually not the best sign. If it is going to reverse, 12-hour time frame still remains to the downside as well, which is why I do still say short term, yeah, definitely possible for Bitcoin to make another spike lower. And that pivot is at 29,375. 6-hour time frame also going to be showing downside as long as Bitcoin is below 29,350. So basically the same number right there. 4-hour time frame also going to be showing downside below 29,330. Again, basically the same number. And the hourly is actually going to be up, but going to turn down below 29,160, which Bitcoin is on the index trading literally $4.50 above as of this exact moment. So, we do see still most timeframes in concert with each other, and I would say short term, a little bit of sideways, a little bit of downside, maybe something like this on the LARP lines, and then maybe makes that move just below 29. And then the real question is, how does it respond around that region? Now, I do want to reference the title of today's video, which is 2 days. And what is 2 days? Well, Well, it is in a reference to the SEC versus GBDC, which a lot of the time these sort of cases do get settled on Fridays, and it's not necessarily a specific Friday, so it could be this Friday, could be next Friday, could be the Friday after that, but it is kind of around the time that we would expect a resolution for this, particularly around this next, this next Friday. What's the source? Just trust me, bro. Just trust me, bro. No, I'm sure that if you do search around online, you'll come to the same articles that I have. Anyways, in this case, I did just want to point out that GBDC is interesting here. Interesting. Wait, what the hell was that on my chart? There's like phantom lines going on my damn chart. There's some fucking line drawer drawing lines in my chart. Can't figure out where it's coming from, man. It's doing it again. It's coming in from right here. What is this? Oh, I see. Okay. It's a scale. Man, I've definitely fucking lost it at this point. You can only go so long of sideways price action before you lose your fucking mind. But in this case, GBDC is clearly looking different than Bitcoin as of right now. And over the long period of time, we do generally expect these things to kind of move pretty much in lockstep. GBDC even like kind of applying for their own version of an ETF. And you can see right here, as we do overlay, let me actually get rid of these moving averages. As we do overlay Bitcoin price action, which is in the orange chart to represent Bitcoin versus GBDC, which is in these colored dildos over here. Well, there has been a bit of a decorrelation in the more near term, where Bitcoin has been essentially trading, sideways and down, and GBDC has essentially been testing the, more alongside the midpoint of this current range. Other than that, these things do typically stay correlated very, 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 very closely over time. As you do see, these charts are almost one and the same. If we go ahead and put on a correlation coefficient and then also reference the regression, the R squared, we can see that, that definitely holds true in a mathematical perspective. And there certainly have been times in the past where we have seen decorrelations, which are quickly snatched up very, 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 very fast. And the last few ones, I'm going to mark them off right here. I want to mark them off. Where's my vertical line? There we go. Okay. Boom and boom and boom again. We could even go back here as well, or do we want to go that far back right now? Well, fuck it. All right. Anyways, so these last few ones have actually all happened at major, these last two ones happened at major lows. This was a spike down that we saw in March. And this was obviously like the current low in December, which is interesting because, it does seem that GBDC kind of knew a little bit in advance that things would be rallying. Same thing going back over here to October on this next like major spike down as far as the correlation coefficient goes. And can we go even further back than that? Yeah, I think we can go all the way back over here. And again, major upside move. Is decorrelation always going to be a major upside move? No, absolutely not. I mean, if we just have to go one back over here, and we can see that this decorrelation definitely led to ultimately a pretty nasty downside move. But of course, now that I pull it back all the way over here, another major upside move, another major upside move, and another major upside move. Very, very interesting. So going back into it right now, does that increase the probability that Bitcoin does eventually move to the upside? Possibly, or maybe I'm just searching deep into the what if drawer for some content for today. No, I did think that it was rather interesting, and if you're looking for something more of a a fundamental driver, that would be an interesting thing potentially for Friday, or just every Friday from here on out. This decision is kind of to be expected at any one of those given dates. So in this case, we can see that Bitcoin is the one that is decorrelating, or it's not like one decorrelating from the other, but what I mean to say is that Bitcoin is trending down here while GBDC is looking a little bit more healthy in the short term. Now, to be fair, in the medium term, to be fair, in the short term, GBDC probably does come down here and put another move towards the range lows. But ultimately, this range is looking a little bit more healthy than what Bitcoin spot is looking at as of right now. Anyways, also I wanted to mention as well a follow-up on NASDAQ. We were looking at this area yesterday as a nice bouncy region on the daily after hitting the $15,000 target from the from the highs that we were looking at from about 15.8, 15.7 a few weeks prior. This area has been hit. Very likely to bounce from here, I'd still say. And yes, there is starting to populate some hidden bullish divergence come off this low. And we can see the daily jewel is getting towards extreme lows right here. It might even have a chance to turn white on today's next tick. If that happens, yeah, I'd probably be looking for this one to bounce into Friday. Bounces into Friday. Does that help out GBTC, thus helping out Bitcoin? Now we're going way into the what if drawer. Holy shit, man. Just opening up all the damn drawers. But yeah, anyways, longer term, I still think that this one does have a chance to go a little bit lower. I wouldn't be surprised to see this one come down all the way somewhere closer to this gap that we did see from June of this year at around 14.5 to 14.6 region. Could it be that it just fails from here and heads down towards there? Yeah, possible, but I do believe, based off what we just looked at, more likely to try for a bounce off the 55 as it typically does. Maybe do something like this on the LARP line, and then we get the real decision. Maybe later on this month, around the end of this month is probably more likely, or early September, something like that, which kind of makes sense more or less with the cyclicality of markets. Am I saying that word right? I don't know. The cycleness of markets. Not even a word. But what I mean to say is that, generally speaking, traditional markets especially, and Bitcoin as well, are generally boring in the summer. And you typically see things pick up around mid to end of September, and especially October. In fact, September is one of the most dumpy months for Bitcoin and traditional markets in general, followed next by October, actually. So fair enough. Anyways, I think that's a good place for me to leave it off on this particular video. A lot of the same here. A lot of the same. You gotta love it, man. You gotta truly love it to be sitting through these very lovely sandpaper ranges, just rubbing it out and feeling the burn. And you know what? I'll leave you on that note. Take care. Much love. And maybe the sandpaper be with you.